press conference for the upcoming CONCACAF Nations League for 2024-2025, a new season upon us. Before we get into the information for this press conference, just want to introduce the persons we have at our head table. To my immediate left, we have the president of the Jamaica Football Federation, Mr. Michael Ricketts, and we also have to his left as well, the head coach of the Jamaica Senior Men's National Team, Mr. Steve McLaren. So everybody, we thank you very much for your presence, and those individuals at the back, if you'd like to take your seats, that would also be appreciated as well as we go into this morning. I know everyone is anticipating and looking forward to the squad that will be announced shortly, but first we'll have a few opening remarks from our president and also as well Coach McLaren, just to provide some information first that of these two games in the Nations League. A reminder again that is Friday, September 6th at the National Stadium against Cuba. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. And Tuesday, September 10 in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. That's 9 p.m. Jamaica time and 8 p.m. local time in Honduras. So these are the two games in this September window for the CONCACAF Nations League. It's a new cycle, and as we know, it will serve as a qualifier for the CONCACAF Gold Cup next year as well. So this Nations League has numerous implications, the rankings, and also a qualifier as well for the Gold Cup next year as well, which will also be staged in the United States. So to open things, we're going to have our president, Mr. Michael Ricketts, to open with a few opening remarks, Mr. President.
No open up there, President. No open up there.
Thank you very much, Simon. Let me formally welcome everyone here this morning. Today is a very important day in the life of Jamaica's football. Our new coach, Mr. Stephen McLaren, probably in his first major assignment this morning, will give you all, and certainly Jamaica, by extension the world, an idea of what our squad will be, at least for the first two games in the Nations League. Like Simon has just said, the Nations League will be part of the qualifying process for the upcoming Gold Cup. So last year we did well. We were third in the Nations League, competition that was won by the US, Mexico was second, Jamaica was third. I am pretty certain that we are all very expectant. We're all looking for new names on the roster. I have no idea what the squad is. So I am as expectant as you are and looking forward just as much as you are looking forward to hearing the names of those who will make our national squad. I, however, would like to express my gratitude to the coach and his technical staff. I must recognize the number of journalists who are representing their respective media houses. Of course, our MC and the staff members who are actually here. I also want to use the opportunity to congratulate our under 14 boys who did so very well at the CFU under 14 challenge series that concluded days ago in Tobago, where we not just won, but we were very convincing in doing so. To win your final game of any tournament by 7-1 says something. And I'd also like to mention the work of the TDS staff, technical development scheme. Those who work with this unit certainly will have contributed significantly to the growth and hence technical competence for under 14 players. To the coach and his staff, congratulations are indeed in order. Don't want to bore you with too many details, but again, I want to say thanks to you all for being here on Friday, September 6th at the National Stadium at 7 p.m. We will engage our neighbors, Cuba, in the first of our Nations League games. Thanks for being here. We do look forward to some excitement. The real big picture is qualifying for the World Cup in 2026. So let us treat this as part of the process of getting there. And we entrust our new coach and know that all around the globe, people are excited. Us being able to have contracted Mr. Stephen McLaren. And indeed, we honestly think that our program is in very competent and capable hands. I'd like to, of course, recognize Mr. Wendell Downswell, who has just walked in. Mr. Downswell is the person with full responsibility for today's program. Special welcome to you, sir. Again, thank you for being here. I will now conclude and ask Simon to introduce our coach.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Really appreciate that. Now we'll have some opening remarks from our head coach, Mr. Steve McLaren, who will also give his opening remarks as well, and then we'll get into the squad for the upcoming games in the CONCACAF Nations League.
Okay. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Mr. President. Excellent words. I want to start by reiterating what Mr. President said about the under-14s. I met them. We're fortunate to meet the squad, meet the team in the academy before they left. We wish them luck. And like we always say, we expected them to win, and win they did. But they won it in style. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
It was the way they played, and how they went about it. Andrew Peart and his team did a magnificent job. But the players take the credit. And it just shows the future is bright for Jamaican football. You can see that. We saw that the last trip when we came to the academy, and there was coaching courses for 2 days. We observed the coaches being coached, and you're right, the TDS program from FIFA is working because the coaches are getting better. When the coaches get better, the players get better, and that's what's been happening. So in the youth, football is bright. In the league, the last time we came, myself and Richard Artis, my assistant, met all the Premier League owners in the Jamaican League, and we experienced a really good conversation talking about the league and our experiences and their experiences. And it's great to see that in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup, in the present moment, which is a big tournament, we see Cavalier on top and Mount Pleasant in second place. So my first few weeks in the job have been very positive. I hope to continue that with the results against Cuba and Honduras, and delighted that finally we can get to work with why we're here, football, and trying to win football matches. So I've named a squad. I don't want to go through all the names because 18 are the same as was in the Copa, and we have 5, some additions, some coming back, that we've introduced. Norman Campbell, quite an interesting character. I've got to thank Merrin Gordon, who's been a fantastic help in terms of educating myself and Richard to the squad and to the players, giving his opinion. And introducing Norman Campbell was, he brought the subject up. I watched him in Randers, know his history. He left the island in 2020, went to Serbia for 4 years, and he's now playing in Denmark with Randers. 5 appearances, 2 goals. And I've watched the games. I've spoken to the boy, very enthusiastic boy, and delighted to be included and given an opportunity. He left the island and he's got an opportunity to come back and represent his country, so he's delighted in that. So we welcome Norman Campbell for an opportunity. John Russell, Barnsley in the UK, and he was brought, Merrin mentioned him, and so I watched him a few times. And I know from the last press conference I had, and I know from watching the games, a lot was talked about the midfield of Jamaica, and that is an area that we continue to look at. John Russell has been in the squad before, represented before, and we give him another opportunity. Players mature quickly, and John Russell, I feel, is one of them that can add value to us in midfield. Give him an opportunity to do that. The third one, Amari Bell. Everybody knows Amari. Unfortunately, bad injury last March, ruled him out of Copa. I followed him, spoke to him. He's fit all pre-season. He's trained and played in the championship for Luton, and he's back in the squad, so we welcome him back. The fourth one is quite an interesting one, Andre Reed Jr. Adrian Reed Jr. And Merrin mentioned him because we're looking at that midfield area, and I've said, what's the young talents in that area? And he mentioned Adrian. And fortunately, we'd spoken to his father on our last visit. We came across him, we mentioned him. We said, well, keep an eye on him. Merrin mentioned him. Unfortunately, he played last night. We went to the Cavaliers police game, and it was a chance to have a look at Adrian. And wow, 17, 18, what a talent. I was so impressed with him over the 90 minutes. I said straight away, Merrin, and to the staff, let's get him in the squad. Let's name him, give him an opportunity to train with us, opportunity to maybe get some minutes. And I was very impressed with his performance, an opportunity to play. I must say, the Cavaliers, also with Richard King in the back, were excellent last night. Great performance. And again, bodes well for Jamaican football in terms of that. The last addition coming back in is interesting character, Leon Bailey. And I know it's been a lot said before. I've not known much, but I thought, okay, I know the history, I know what's happened. So I picked up the phone and I spoke to him quite a few times, been in touch. And I said, what's the feelings of coming back? Look, I want the best players. I said that from the beginning. The best players that Jamaica can produce, I want in the team. And he's one of the best players. And we talked about that. And we talked about the playing for Jamaica, how proud he was from being a youth, from 8 years old, involved with Jamaican football. And he loves his country. That was the first thing he said. I love my country. I want to represent my country. And we understand that's a lot of pressure that he's under from his football club, not just his national team. And we talked about that, and he's now he's the focal figure. I said to him, all of the younger players, all of these under 14s who were playing in the Caribbean Cup, all of them, I said, they're looking up to you. You're the example, you're the role model. And we want you back in the squad. We want you back in the team. We want you back playing for Jamaica. But only if you're committed. Only if 100% you're committed to the cause, which is World Cup 2026. What an unbelievable opportunity. And as one of the best players, everybody acknowledges that. He has the opportunity to come back. So I went to watch him against Arsenal. And I said to him after, how you play for Aston Villa is how you need to play for Jamaica. That is a perfect example. That is what we want to see. Leon Bailey, he was great in that game. Not just attacking wise, but defending. He did his job. And we say, if you come back in the squad and do that, and everything will be fine. So that concludes the squad opening remarks. So, if anybody has any questions.
And just before we get to that, Coach, thank you very much for editorial purposes and especially for print media, just to go through the names so that everybody's aware. Goalkeepers, Andre Blake, Jamal Wade, Kanaya Boyce Clark. Defenders, Dexter Limbikisa, Joel Latibaudaire, Damien Lowe, Ethan Pinnock, Amari Bell, Dishon Bernard, Richard King, Greg Lee, Michael Hector. The midfielders, Casey Palmer, Kuroe Anderson, John Russell, Adrian Reed Jr., Bobby Decordova-Reid, and the forwards, Leon Bailey, Kaheem Dixon, Demarai Gray, Norman Campbell, Mikel Antonio, and Shamar Nicholson. So we may commence questions from the media. Please indicate yourself and your organization. You may commence with questions you may have to Coach McLaren or even to Mr. Ricketts. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
There's a lot of things being said about him publicly since he has not played for the country. Yes, they talk about the commitment. Are you certain that you will get that commitment? Are you concerned about any backlash that he might encounter from the Jamaican public?
No, I spoke to all the players. The players want him back in. That is for sure. And look, it doesn't matter who I call in or who I play. They have to perform on the field. That's the key. So the answer will be on the field, as it always is. It's never off the field with football players. It's on the field. And all the players, when they pull on a Jamaican shirt, they've got to be proud of that fact. They've got to give 100%, totally committed to the cause, to each other. And if we get that from everybody, including Leon, we'll be fine.
Think you can get the best out of him. As you mentioned, his Aston Villa performance, that has not been the same with the national team. Do you think you can get that best out of him for the national team?
Like every player, they have to get the best out of themselves. It's up to them. We are here to help. That's my job. To help the players perform, to give them a game plan, to give them the freedom, the boundaries in which to perform. And if they do that, then we will win football matches. If we don't, we're in trouble.
Can I ask the president how he feel about having Leon back in the squad?
Leon has actually put it in writing that he is committed and he's willing and ready to play. You can't ask for anything else. I mean, like the coach just said, we want to have our best players. We want to be always represented by the best players. And whether you live here or you're from the diaspora, we want always to be competitive on the field of play. So we gave the coach the latitude to discuss with the players and make a decision. And based on the document that was submitted by Leon, I think the coach within his rights, had selected Leon. I tell you, Leon said to me before all of this, after a game, he walked up to me and he said, President, every time I go on the field, I want to represent my country at the highest. I love my country. I want to play for my country. I want to do the best for my country. Those are the words that he said to me. So let's see what will happen from here on. We're just excited at the prospects, and I'm pretty certain that he will, from here on, represent the country well.
All right, any further questions? Please raise your hand. Roger?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Maybe for both you and the president, sir. Was Leon coerced into writing that letter of commitment?
Well, we just wanted to ensure that he made it very clear that he is willing and ready to play. That's the only reason. And he was quick to respond. And that's what we were expecting, that he says this time that yes, I am available and I'm ready to play.
Mr. McLaren, an interesting call up in Norman Campbell. Can you elaborate more on his selection?
Yeah, we were looking for wide players. I know Cephas has been in the squad regularly and playing, but at the moment he has troubles with his football club in Turkey. So at the moment I spoke with him, he's training on his own and waiting for a move, I think, away from Turkey to another club. And I said, no problem, I know what you can do. Sort your future out. That's the main thing. So with Cephas, left him out, so that left a hole. And as I said, speaking to Meron, he talked about Norman Campbell, what he was doing in Randers. I watched him a couple of games. He scored in the 2 games. And he was a talent, left the island. To leave the island and go to Serbia for 4 years really toughens you up. He must have toughened up. And now he's moved to Randers in Denmark, and I think it's a perfect move for him. And he's thriving in the culture at the club, and his performances are very good. It's another one we're giving an opportunity. It's like all the players, we give them an opportunity, we put them on the field, it's up to them to perform.
Morning, Coach. Mr. President, morning as well. The head of your technical committee, Rudolph Speed, said publicly that every player who will be selected or invited to the program, to the squad, would have to, upon being selected or invited, give a formal acceptance via a letter or something to that effect to say, yes, they have accepted the call. Does that still stand? Mr. President, you want to take that one?
Well, I didn't say a letter. So
No, and that's what I just say, a letter or some way of accepting. Mr. Technical Director, I didn't even know if you were here, I would probably ask you instead. Yeah. So does that stand that, and you have to somehow, whichever, or letter, whatever it is, to say, yes, they have accepted it?
There is a consensus that that's all the way to go. And I'm not sure if it happened now, but certainly in the future, we would want to expect that when a player gets a call up, that he responds positively to say, yes, I am available in a formal way. Yes, I'm available and I will be part of the process. But it is something that we have discussed and something that we have actually agreed on.
Okay. So Leon, that letter, was it submitted after he was told that they're going to call him, or just submitted before he?
I am not sure, maybe the manager could explain, but I know he did send something to say that yes, he's available and he's committed to the process.
Mr. McLaren, this is for you. Will you be living here?
Sorry?
Will you be living here, living in Jamaica, or will you be traversing?
I'll be a lot of travelling. This job, international job, is one where you have to be flexible. We have many players in the UK, heritage players also that need looking at. So the job I'll be in is out of the suitcase, as we say. A lot of travelling to Jamaica, to the UK. I stay in the UK. A lot of travelling around the UK, to France to keep an eye on players there, to Denmark now, and other countries. So I may be living in quite a few countries. Yes, based in the UK, that's where my family is, that's the base. But the job as an international manager is, live out the suitcase. Visit the players, visit the clubs, get relationships, look for new players, recruit. And so you will see me in Jamaica, you will see me in other countries as well.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Mr. Blake, you can proceed now. There was one before.
Morning everyone, Kobe from Cabo Magazine. So there has been a lot of recent talks about certain players, particularly from the UK, switching allegiance to play for Jamaica. So one of those names is Mason Greenwood. How likely, or if it's a rumor, how true is it, for both President and Mr. McLaren?
In terms of heritage players and players that dual nationalities that can play for Jamaica, I think I was on the record last time as saying there's a long list, not just in the UK, but all over the world. And we're exploring that at the present moment. So we're on a dual path. So in one way, we focus on this camp, and that's my focus now, nothing else. It's about Cuba, it's about Honduras, it's about meeting the players, it's about putting a philosophy down, it's about getting a performance from the players, we get a performance, it's about winning the games against Cuba and Honduras. And then the other parallel path is improving the team. From those present who have been in the squad before, who may come back to form, and also recruitment in terms of the fact. So the process of recruitment and identifying players is always ongoing. So you can name a lot of players at the present moment where that process is going. And at the present moment, this is the squad, this is what I focus on. In the next 2 weeks, we make sure we get 2 results.
One last question. So with the Copa America, with the football team, wondering if it's like confidence or quality. So how would you enable to push that team over the barrier? Especially within CONCACAF, 2 best teams, Mexico and USA, to consistently be on the level of those teams as well, to win major accolades.
I think the process has started to catch up to the teams. I think we are ranked number 1 in the Caribbean and number 5 in CONCACAF. We want to stay number 1. I want to improve from 5th. That's the goal. And the process starts now. The process started a long time ago, and especially the last 2 or 3 years, through the development of Jamaican coaches, players, youth players. We've seen that with the 14s. We've seen that with Cavaliers, Mount Pleasant competing in the Caribbean Cup. We've seen the progress that's been made. I'm here to continue that, to help progress that, not just on the island, but heritage players and the national team as well. So there's a lot of pressure on Jamaican players when they come and play for the national team. A lot of pressure. Why? Because we're number 1 in the Caribbean. So everybody wants to beat us. Everybody. They have no respect for us. So no game is easy. I know that. But we have to keep that number 1. But we also, in CONCACAF, we have to develop and be as good as, and we can be as good as Mexico, Canada, USA. They've proved that over the last 2 years. Some of the results have been magnificent against these nations. We must continue the development, continue to develop our younger players. 14 is a great example. Yeah. You know, the league, developing the league, you see the quality, develop that. If we keep developing, we will improve. And I know the big goal is 2026. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen in the 3-4 weeks I've been in the job, it's about 2030, 2034. You know, my job is to continue what everybody else has started, and then later on somebody else to take that. But to develop coaches, to develop players, to develop the national team over the years is the priority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blake.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Morning, those at the head table. Ovidi Blake, aka Cataract. Dre Anywhere Sports from Palm Beach and Sports Property TV from Denmark. And the famous Ultras of the Reggae Boys. Firstly, Coach, before you to the President, let me publicly again congratulate you and the JFF1 on the success of the Under 14 team at the recently concluded Caribbean Cup. We as the fans are certainly proud that Jamaica has lifted its first silverware in, I think, nearly a decade. And so kudos to you and the technical director who is here for the record. Secondly, congratulations to the Jamaica Football Federation on behalf of the Ultras and the fans for allowing cooler heads and mature minds to prevail, that the Jamaica Football Federation was able to settle the matter with Leon Bailey, and we're happy to welcome him in, and we congratulate all parties involved. And we are happy that the coach, whatever role you played, coach, was there. I just want to ask you, the team that you selected, this is your first Jamaican squad. The easy question for the first one. How excited you were, how difficult it was to pull together the 23-man squad, and what was the sort of conversations you had with those players who have been left out? There's some senior players, for example, like Daniel Johnson, who was mainstay on midfield. But could you share with us, one, how excited you were, how difficult it was, and the conversation with the players who were left out? And then I have a second question for you, Coach.
No, I think I'm fortunate. We had many players to choose from to go in the squad, so it's a difficult choice in the end. I want continuity, which is why 18 from the Copa are in the squad. And I also wanted to look at some new additions, gaps that were there, but people to look at. The key thing is, myself and the staff, we're excited we can't wait for Monday. That's when it starts. We coaches, we're not about press conferences, we're not about watching this and watching that. We're about football, we're about getting players on the training field, playing games, and getting to win or lose or draw. That's our life, and that will start on Monday. So that's what I'm excited about, in anticipation of that. 2 very difficult games, but as I said, there's a lot of expectation on Jamaica. Number 1 in the Caribbean. That brings pressure from the fans. We understand that, but we need the support also from that. We get the support from the federation, support from everybody. We all are aligned in one direction, and that short term, I say short term, 2 years, is 2026, the World Cup, but also in the longer term as well.
Coach, second question to you, and maybe if the president wants to comment on this. The fans would have awoken yesterday to some news from the selection of the England squads that Omari Hutchinson has been named in the under-21 England squad, and that Morgan Gibbs-White, who we have been courting as a country and fans, etc., has been named in the senior national squad. The A part A to that question, could you share with us as much as you could, your talks and negotiation with either of those players? It's no problem if we fail, but what was the effort that was made? You could tell us that. And outside of that, if you could just update us on the progress with other key EPL heritage players, the likes of Tyreek Mitchell, Kyle Walker-Peters, Max Evans, as much as you can. I know this talks are a lot of times private.
I think it's simple, and I try to keep everything simple. In one respect, you're right. It's about recruitment, looking at heritage players on one side, and it's difficult because on the list that I have, about 50 names, but many of them are 23, 24 and under. Good young players, and their ambition, as they're born in England, is to play for England, and that is right. So it's very, very difficult to recruit them type of players. So we're looking at more mature players who come to that point of, okay, I may not play for England, but there's an option. So that's what we look at. And I spoke to many of the younger players as well. And yeah, the likes of Kadamatari, the likes of Hutchison, and they're good enough to wait for England and think they're good enough. That's fantastic attitude. So that on one respect, recruitment of heritage players is difficult. But on the other respect, and what I've seen with the 14s, with the Cavaliers and with Mount Pleasant, is the quality of the Jamaican players is improving. So that's the key, is that we have to improve our players on the island. We have to improve the league. We have to improve the competition. And you can see the progress that's been made in terms of that. I mean, I watched the game last night, and all my staff we were so impressed with the Cavaliers, so impressed. Young players playing against very, very mature men, dominating the game, and in the end, 4-1, dominating. We've seen the 14s. How can you win a final 7-1? So this job is twofold. Yes, get the best players that we possibly can in the short term, and yes, let's improve the young talents that are there. And what the Federation is doing, Andrew Perk, Wendell, and Mr. Speed, is they're giving youngsters a chance. And that's the key to it, is giving youngsters a chance in the competition, because you never know what they can do. I know what they did last night. So, yeah, like I said, I remember, I said before, about 3 years ago, working with FIFA and the TDS, what could happen in Jamaica is happening. We're just here just to help that process and improve it even more.
Coach, MG Sports, based off the profile of players that you have selected, have you already identified a particular brand or system of football that you plan to deploy these specific profile of players in?
I spoke to Mr. Speed at length about the culture, the Jamaican player. And that's why it was great to see the game last night, because we saw it. One, attitude. That's the key. Attitude. If nobody has attitude coming into this squad, nobody has attitude and shows attitude on the field, attitude to work, not just for themselves, for each other. No one has attitude. No one wants to run. You won't get in the team. You have to have attitude. You have to run. You have to do that. You have to have talent. And the talent that we see. I'm just giving last night as an example because the pitch was difficult. It was dry, and I know it's difficult. But the talent, the ability, dealing with the ball, keeping the ball in tight areas, was great to see. So dealing with the ball, attitude, dealing with the ball, being brave, wanting to take the ball. And the third thing, what's the strength of the Jamaican player? Speed, athleticism. And I think we saw that last night. I've seen that in the games that I've watched. That's a real strength. So they're the three things in which we work around in terms of a philosophy. Now, systems might change. It's nothing to do with it, systems. Yeah, it's the principles, it's a philosophy. And the philosophy is attitude, be hard to beat, take care of the ball, and use the speed. Because on transition, what I saw last night and what I've seen Jamaican teams, it's speed. So speed on transition is vital. So
Not Rudolph. Not Rudolph speed.
Yeah, Mr. Speed. So that's key. We get them three things. That's the philosophy.
Coach, not to crowd the questioning. It's just a follow-up to Mr. Walker's question earlier, and you were asked if you would be domiciled or what in Jamaica. You said you would basically be out living out of a suitcase, and that is understandable. One of the perceptions in the past is that, we can settle off on a time when we settle off on a squad, settle off on players. Is there a time frame in your mind as to when a cutoff point is, as to when you'll be looking for players, looking at players to fit? Because time is short, 2 years, within 2 years is the World Cup. Is there a time frame in your mind as to when you'll be cutting off and say, these are the players? We know the other one or two might pop up in terms of talent and out of nowhere. But, could you speak on that, please?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's never a cut-off. We're always looking. We're always looking for the best players that can improve our team, players that can improve the squad. And I think one of the key messages to the squad will be that modern football now, it's not about the 11 who start. Because of the 5 subs, because of the size of the squad, the people you can have on the bench, it's about the squad. So we call them starters and finishers. And the starters are the ones, the 11 who start. And the finishers are the ones who come off the bench. And if you're 1-0 down, they come on, make an impact, you win the game. You're 1-0 up, they come off the bench to make sure you stay 1 up or even go 2. So we call them the finishers. So now, where players used to be really disappointed about being in the starting 11, I'm not playing, coach, trainer, why, I'm being left out, I'm doing this. The bench, that's where the most important players are. And that's the key to it, is getting on. And then we saw that last night in terms of the Cavaliers and how they started, and then the impact that the subs made. They go from 1-1 to winning the game 4-1, could have been 8-1. So the impact was there. So all players are equal. There's no better, no worse. When they're in the squad, everyone is equal and everybody plays a part. And we want everybody to be aligned together, from myself, staff, support staff, the federation, down to the squad of players. We all want to head in the same direction.
All right, we can take 2 more questions. Please go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, Robert Bailey. Morning, Coach. Robert Bailey here from Jamaica Observer. Coach, a lot of the fans, have been staying away from, the national team because of different reasons. This will be your first game in charge. What would be your message to the Jamaican public out there who looking at it and say, they don't know what to expect?
Expectation is the key word. What do we all expect when we go watch Jamaica? And like I said before, I think we have to ignite the nation. It's up to us. It's the players on the field. It's the staff. It's everybody. The message has to be performance, individually, collectively. So the biggest thing is we need support. We play football not just for ourselves and each other, but for the supporters. There is nothing better than winning a game of football and going to your supporters. There's nothing better. There's two things. Going to the supporters, acknowledging them because they're the hub of the team, and then going in the dressing room and celebrating with each other. That's what football's all about. And the more times you get that, the more connection that you get. And what we want to do, and I think we talked about it, the first camp, what we want to do, our first job is to connect with the players, connect with the staff. We're not working with the staff. We've got to connect with the staff. While we've been visiting here, we've got to connect with the JFF. We've got to connect with other people. We've got to connect with the league. We've got to connect with the coaches. That's the key thing. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to connect with the players. Then when we play, we've got to connect with the supporters. And once you connect, then you have a relationship. And that relationship will be up and down. And there will be fights, and there will be boos, and there will be, they don't know what they're doing, and do this and do that. And it doesn't matter. We all stick together in the end because the goal is 2026, the World Cup. And that's going to be a process. That process starts now. And in that process, I think I said it before, there will be lots of ups and downs. There will be lots of times where we're 1-0 down and we got 5-10 minutes to go. That's the strength of the team. 5-10 minutes to go, we're 1-0 down. That's when the top teams win. And that's the kind of mentality that we need to instill, not just in the players, but also in the nation and the supporters who come and watch.
Long-termish, short-term. You haven't had the team playing in the practice games or anything. You meet with them, the squad for the first time, I think on Monday you said. You talk about expectations. What is the expectation, being that you had neither of this going into your first game on September 6th against Cuba? No practice game, first week of training. How difficult it will it be, and basically what is your expectation with the group of players that you have at your disposal now?
Yeah, you're right in the first respect. It's going to be difficult. Nothing's going to be easy, and the start is always difficult. As I said, connection, relationships with the players, experimenting, looking at players, and I think Heimer had it. When I've spoke with Heimer, watched the progress over the last 2 years, and you can see how the team has changed from 2-3 years ago to what the team is now. And I probably expect the same again. But that's down to the players. That's called competition. So the process sometimes can be quick, sometimes can be slow. But we start in the process. And what we want is players who demonstrate our principles of attitude, hard work, hard to beat, attitude of being brave, wanting the ball, dealing with the ball, an attitude of using the strength, which is the speed and the physicality of the team. They demonstrate that, and we build and we grow and we grow. And hopefully, in the end, the goal is 2026. That's the goal. And that's what we're all living towards. Yeah? And it starts on Monday. And everybody should be excited that this is something new in which we can all get involved in. Supporters, JFF, everybody get involved in and support the team through thick, through thin, and make sure that we qualify. In the meantime, we've got many, many games in between. And what's the goal in them games? And like I said, we're number one in the Caribbean. We're number one. So everybody wants to beat us. Everybody. So everybody raises the game. It's the same when we was at Manchester United. Everybody wanted to beat Manchester United. no matter what. And it's the same with Jamaica. So that means a different attitude from the players that no game is easy. But my expectation, like every game, is we plan to win. Wherever we go, whoever we play, we plan to win. We prepare to win. And our expectations are we will win that game. That might not happen. We have to deal with that, and then we have to move on to the next one. And we plan again. Our expectation is exactly the same. We want to win again.
Thank you very much, Coach McLaren. Thank you very much, Mr. Ricketts. Members of the media, thank you for your presence here this morning. Members of the media, you'll be notified of the pre-match press conference against Cuba, which will be on Thursday. So the time will be communicated with you, but it will be at the National Stadium. Thank you very much for being here. Safe travels and have a pleasant weekend.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well done.
Cheers, Simon.
What do you want? Ronald Adams, CBS Sports.